Hey fandom, how's it going? So today, this is a follow-up to my previous video of how to get into DC Comics. We are going to talk about Marvel. I am a Marvel fanboy. I love DC, but Marvel kid through and through. I grew up on Marvel, so be a little bit more excited in this one than the last one. Check this out. First off, we are going to do Avengers. Avengers is a topic that is very hot right now because of Age of Ultron coming out next year and things like that. And everybody's wondering, okay, well, where's a good jumping on point for me to read Avengers? And I, personally, would recommend the Ultimates. The Ultimates Ultimate Collection. This contains issues 1 through 13 of the Ultimates. This is written by Mark Millar and art by Brian Hitch. The Ultimates is awesome. If you saw the movie Avengers, some of the inspiration comes from here. It's basically, it tells the story of the back in the early 2000s, Marvel wanted to create a new universe. They wanted to spice things up a little bit. They wanted to make introductory characters. They wanted to, basically create a line where they could start fresh without rebooting their own universe. So they created the Ultimate Universe. This was the first book that came out, and it was a success. The Ultimates is awesome. On the team, you have Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, the Wasp, Giant Ant-Man. It is great stuff. It's over the top. It's fun, and it has an introduction. One of these has an introduction by Joss Whedon. It's really good stuff. I love this. Whedon himself took a lot of this, and he took it and put a lot of it inside of the Avengers movie. You can probably find this pretty cheap at your local comic shop, so if you go ask them, hey, I want to read the Avengers, they'll probably give you something like this, Ultimates. Fun stuff, great introductory. It's not that expensive, you can get it. So get that one, then get the Ultimates 2. Same thing, it follows up on this story, continues on in here. Pick these up, really great read. Then they continue to do another Ultimates line. Don't keep going. Stop with Ultimates 1 and 2. You don't need anything else. These are fine. Mark Millar. That's the one you want to get. Millar. It's gonna come out backwards on the video. Sorry. Yeah, but Millar. Those are the Ultimates that you want. You don't want the follow-up series. They're not that great. They're pretty terrible, actually. So get those 2 books. The Ultimates Ultimate Collection. Now, if you're somebody who you love X-Men, or you have somebody that loves X-Men, and you are looking at getting into the character, but they have so much continuity, it's a mess. I understand. It's not easy to jump into X-Men right now. Bam! Astonishing X-Men. Astonishing X-Men is awesome. It's written by Joss Whedon, the Joss Whedon that's directing the Avengers movie. If you're seeing, there's kind of a theme here going on right now. But yeah, pick these up. They're great. Astonishing X-Men is awesome. Astonishing X-Men is a great jumping on point for any X-Men fan. Basically, if you remember the story for the Mutant Cure, it's in here. They introduce different types of villains. They go on a space adventure. It has one of the best endings of any X-Men story I've ever read. Kitty Pryde is awesome in this book. Kitty Pryde just steals the show. Joss Whedon nails Scott Summers. I think he does a perfect Scott Summers in this. He gets all the characters. If you've ever read or seen anything about Joss Whedon, you know the quips, you know how his writing style is. So you're going to get something that's very fun, and he has a clear love for these characters. Also, John Cassaday. John Cassaday's art is amazing in this series. I love his art in this. This is fantastic stuff. Let's see if I get a panel. Check that out. John Cassaday did all the art for like 24 issues, and it's all great. He kills it in this series. If you're looking for something that's fun, great art, and it's a great introduction to the X-Men, right here. Pick that up. It's great. So you pick that one up, and there's 2 volumes of this, the Ultimate Collection. Volumes 1, right here's volume 1, and volume 2. So, Astonishing X-Men by Joss Whedon. Great pickup for somebody who's just getting into the Marvel Universe. Now, you've got, let's say you have a friend who, you want something a little bit more fun, a little more crime-oriented, things like that, but it can be lighthearted at times. I'm going to recommend Hawkeye. Hawkeye by Matt Fraction and David Aja. Basically, this is a day in the life of Hawkeye. He's dealing with crime bosses and things like that, but it's more of a, you follow Hawkeye around during his daily life and his daily routines, and you get a sense of who he is as a character. He even says, he's like, I'm not one of the superhero guys. I don't have superpowers. If I get hurt, I'm in the hospital for like a week. And you see all that, and you follow the character around, you really get a sense of who he is. You get a sense of like, wow, this guy has a lot of depth. He's going through a lot of things. He's kind of insecure sometimes about having to deal and hang out with all these gods and why he's on the team and everything. It's awesome. Plus, it's funny. Some of the things are really funny. The Tracksuit Mafia, awesome. Definitely pick these up. Hawkeye is fantastic. It's multiple Eisner Award winning, which means if you know anything about the Eisners, it's basically like the Oscars of comics. So, fun stuff. I love Hawkeye. The next one I'm going to talk about. Okay, so if you go to a comic shop and you ask them, hey, where's a good jumping on point for Marvel Comics, they're probably going to put you in the direction of a program that started a few years ago called Marvel Now. And essentially what Marvel Now is, they kind of pulled a DC and started a new, rebooted the line without deleting the universe, if that makes sense to you. They've kept everything intact. They basically just shuffled the deck, and they put writers on different books than what they were before, and they put new number ones out. Basically, it's just a giant jumping on point. So anytime you go into a store and you see Marvel Now, it's a good jumping on point. Start with the first volume. This is a good one. I like Uncanny Avengers a lot. The only thing you need to know is that Professor Xavier is not around for various reasons. So all you need to know, it's a great jumping on point. It has the Red Skull in here. He's the villain in this. It's pretty cool. My personal favorite of what Marvel's putting out recently, and you could jump onto, Daredevil. Daredevil is so awesome. By Mark Waid and Chris Samnee. Daredevil is a character that has had probably the best of the best writers have worked on this guy. We're talking about Ed Brubaker, Brian Michael Bendis, Frank Miller had a run on him, which is legendary. The Frank Miller run is fantastic. It introduces Electro. But this particular run that we're going to talk about, and it's, a lot of these books, they're cost effective because you're not going to give somebody you're not going to recommend somebody an omnibus who just is starting to get into comics. They're like, why am I going to spend $100 on a book? So, yeah. Daredevil by Mark Waid is so great. It's probably the best thing that's being put out by the big two right now. Basically, the only thing you really need to know is Daredevil, he's blind. That's it. He's blind and he has superpowers. That's all you need to know. You can jump into this, you'll be perfectly fine. It's a fun read, and it's fantastic. There's really a bunch of different stories. Daredevil basically finds out in this run that eventually somebody's behind all these negative things that's been going on to him for the whole run. Who it is, I'm not going to reveal, and when you find out the state that individual is in, you're like, wow, that is great. It also introduces one of my favorite villains. I think his name is Akari, something like that. Akari, I think his name is. Akari is awesome as a villain. I can't wait to see what they do with him later on down the line. You have to pick up Daredevil. If you're getting into comics, Daredevil's a fun read if you want to get somebody to read comics. Daredevil's fantastic. It's a great read for somebody who's just starting out, and they'll probably love you for it too. The art, Chris Samnee and Marcos Martin, look, they all do fantastic art in this. So here's let's get you some art. Check that out. Let me get you a better page. That was pretty dark. I love Daredevil. Daredevil, I'm telling you, Daredevil's probably the best thing that's being written by the big two right now. What's interesting about this is that since Frank Miller back in the 70s, Daredevil has always been a dark and gritty book. And, everybody's tried to cop that style. Brian Michael Bendis, I think, he did a great job on the run, but that was dark as well. So was Brubaker's. This is more fun. It has its dark moments, but basically, Daredevil says, look, I'm done with depression. I've dealt with it my whole life, my whole career. It's time to have a little fun. I'm going to be more, upbeat about things. I can keep digging a hole and keep putting myself depressed, or I can look at the light. So if you want to get somebody something that's fun and not dark and moody, and they like Daredevil, Mark Waid's run. Definitely pick this up. So that's a great introductory point for somebody who is just getting into Marvel. I think that got a lot to read between that and DC, so I'm going to stop there. If you want to comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. Hope that helps. Bye.